Welcome everyone to the Healthy Homes Realtor Program. My name is Gennady Kevin Kravoy. I'm a commercial and residential agent in the Lower Mainland for almost 10 years, and I'm excited to be hosting this program for the first time, and with the focus on speaking to business professionals that I work and collaborate with who have an emphasis and appreciation for achieving healthy home living for my clients, for our mutual clients. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with my good friend and colleague, Rizwan Syed, with Final Check Home Inspections. Thank you very much, Rizwan, for being here. In fact, I'm actually here in your home today. So
Yes.
that's a nice touch in this beautiful home. So we got a lot of things to talk about. I just want to make it valuable for our viewers today. So as a realtor, I work with a lot of buyers who are looking for homes, who have a home inspection in mind. Choosing a home inspector is often a process people don't know where to start. So
That's correct.
Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about yourself and how someone would be choosing a home inspector.
Yeah. So about me is I have architectural background. I graduated from a school of architecture in '82, and all my life I was designing single family house, commercial buildings, high rise, industrial projects. So this was my passion, this was my interest, and when I moved to Canada, that was I was planning to become an architect, and because I had all the education that needed from US and other places, but it was a lengthy process, so I just decided to become a home inspector. And because that was my passion, houses were my passion. So,
Right.
and that's how it started. And I love this work because it's outdoor, and I love to be outdoor, and also it is such an important aspect that I feel that I'm making a contribution when somebody is buying a house and putting their life savings, and that process they are very nervous. They want to know if they are buying a right property, and they want to know about the condition of the property. So home inspection can be a great help.
Right.
And so I feel very, very rewarding, and in that way. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So, and I love working with you. So just for everyone to know, I've worked with Rizwan on many deals together. We've served many clients. He's inspected my own home. So I trust Rizwan's experience. And in terms of how I chose Rizwan, it was through a referral from another client who had a good experience. How would you say people should choose their home inspector in general?
Yeah, so the inspectors are qualified, they are licensed, and they have a liability insurance, and majority of the inspectors are really good. And any qualified certified inspector is good for you. Choosing one out of available that inspectors out there, the best one is that you contact your friends or family member and whoever used an inspector, and they are fully satisfied with the service. I think I will give a priority to that referral.
Okay.
Right?
The referral idea, yeah.
Yeah, that's the best thing to pick. And of course, you can go on Google and have an inspector who has the best reviews. And Better Business Bureau is another website. You can go and look at if they have an A+ rating, how long they have been in Better Business Bureau. This is another way, to pick a right home inspector. So that's what I would do. And picking a home inspector or choosing a home inspector is very important. You just don't just go for a home inspector who is relatively charging less, for their inspection, and because this is your lifetime saving, that you're putting in.
Deal,
so
right?
you don't wanna hire an inspector who is not the best, for what you need. And yeah, so that was I would do.
No, I agree. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, as a realtor myself, like the people who I know and collaborate with it's a reflection of who I am as a realtor as well. And I'm not a home inspector, I'm not a builder, I'm not an architect. I don't have all these other extra skills and expertise, but my clients need that, right? So when they're buying a home or looking to renovate their home or even getting their home ready to sell, all this stuff is important about who I know I can refer them with. So I agree with you. A lot of my contacts that I've worked with over the years were from my personal experience or from other clients that I had who had good experiences, right? Because that's really, you know, Google reviews are good, right? But they're not personal. They're not real until you actually experience it, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So working with home inspectors, and as a realtor, we have a professional obligation when we're helping buyers choose a home and consider putting an offer on a home. We have to consider, okay, is the home good for them? Not just in the sense of price, but things like health and safety. Is it livable? Is it good for their lifestyle? Is it health and safety? So home inspectors are a crucial part of that. Can you talk a little bit about what you, as a home inspector and the industry, what you have a duty for in terms of health and safety?
Right. So the so the home inspectors are basically looking all the major components of the house, right? And major components are a roof, foundation, electrical system, plumbing, heating, drainage. So all the major components they look at. So just give you the what actually I focus in my practice, right? Okay. So I'm looking for a major problem in the house, right? So the major problems that can cost a lot of money or headache for the client. So that is one thing. The other thing is if this property is safe, right? And the safety is electric, gas leaks, fire hazards, right? Things like that. And the third thing is health hazard, right? So health hazard, that's health and safety that we are talking about. And so that is the focus. And fourth is moisture,
Moisture,
the
yeah.
moisture ingress inside or the outside, right? So those are the things that we pay attention to. So I'm pretty much focused. I want to make sure that these are the things that is I don't miss,
Right.
and I have full information, so the client is get the value of the inspection. So if they can the house can be newly renovated. There are several examples that a house has been completely renovated, and then that's how it is been in market. And renovation means the floor has been changed, and the new paint inside and outside, but the bones of the house are still old, right?
Yeah.
So they might have a leaky plumbing, right? They might have a pipes that is having a issue. There could be a roof problem. There could be a mold. It could be moisture, and all those things are the focus of the inspector, right? So inspector will actually ignore all the cosmetic work,
Right. All
so
that pretty stuff.
so the client is attracted to that house because it looks very pretty, or they're looking the size of the kitchen or the bedrooms and proximity to the school for the children. So that's why they like this property, right? But the inspector will completely ignore the renovation work. The good inspector will not pay attention. And even a brand new house, right, which is they say it has under the warranty, 5-10 warranty, and is a brand new, and is amazing how you will find the deficiencies in those properties, right? Okay. And so inspector will ignore, and they will, when they ignore it, all those things, then they can go and look the things. If they are also programmed the same way as the client is, or the seller is, that my house is very good, So the inspector is not doing their job. I think
Yeah, you've
I
had that
think when
experience.
you already program yourself before you go to the property, it's been renovated or it is a brand new, so what I have to do, right? So that is the thing. So my approach is that I will go to my whole process, and all good inspectors will do. Not this is not only one inspector. All the good inspector, they will go to their process.
Okay.
They will ignore. They will make sure that everything is working, right, and all the major components are okay, and then they will give a report. So inspector, if you look at, is a third party, right? And third party is, see, that in a real estate transaction, it is a commission base. So seller agent is selling, the buyer agent is involved and buyer is buying, and they get out of that sale is a commission base they get. Home inspectors has nothing to do with with this transaction, right? So they are third party and they are unbiased, right? And so that is why the inspector report become important, because they are not part of it, right? Okay, that's the thing is happening. So it is important that we definitely hire a home inspector, right, in a real estate transition, because you need that unbiased third party opinion.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And this will save you a lot of headache, and you won't buy a bad property, right? So the good inspector, you want to have it, and all the properties that you want to make sure that you have an inspection done, even a brand new.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I get that question a lot as a realtor. Like almost every client asks me at some point, especially if they're a first time buyer, do I need a home inspector? Do I have to get one? Right. And legally, it's not required, right? But I have an obligation as a realtor to look after my clients and say, you should, right? Like, I would. Like, this is something, it's an asset that you're investing in. And the inspection is to secure the value of the asset and potentially help you avoid a bigger problem, right? Like, if you don't do a home inspection and you get let's say influenced by the cosmetic stuff or the renovations, and you think, oh, it's a new house. What can be wrong? It's a new house, that kind of thing. You might be buying yourself a big problem. So that's my role as a realtor, to help guide clients to make that informed decision, relying on expertise like yours, right? A couple of things from what you just said. I had a couple other questions. So, like, from the buyer's point of view, okay, so you come in there looking from a third party, objective, I don't care about the cosmetic, that kind of thing. What are you noticing, like from buyers? Like, what are buyers typically looking for when they're doing a home inspection and asking themselves the big question, should I buy this house? Should I make an offer on this house?
Right.
So what are the questions, like, what's on their mind?
So I'll just say one thing, that first thing is that you hire a realtor who has a focus for health and safety, of your purchase, right? And that will be number one thing, because if you have a real estate agent that has that kind of focus like yourself, right? He will bring a inspector, right, or he will bring a professionals who have a similar kind of interest, right, in this field. So getting a right person from the beginning is important, right? And you are my friend and colleague. We have been working for a long. I know you, where that we have done, like you mentioned, we did the first house that I met you is house a lot of problem. Remember, right? Yeah. That's one. And my client decided not to buy, right? And you were representing the buyer, right? And that's how you like the work, because you were working in the best interest of your client, and that client hired me as an inspector, and I was working the same approach, and that's how our both interests coincided, right? And that's how we were seeing. So that is one thing, that you hire a right realtor, and then when we are looking, what was the
question? Like from a buyer point of view, what are you noticing that buyers typically ask or are concerned about before they before they make an offer,
Right,
before
right,
they
right.
commit to buying?
Yes. So you're looking for several properties, and you finally choose one, right? And before you write an offer, and I would give you a little few tips, right? Say, so first thing is, when you go in a house, the number one thing is what we do. We are breathing, right? And so the most important thing is you smell,
Right, right.
right? Okay. If a funny smell, right, and or heavy air or anything which is you feel it is something is funny here,
Right. Like a very
right?
like instinctive,
It's
just follow your nose kind of
nose, yeah,
sense,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So you can feel it. So you can go in a space if that if the, is, you walked in and you can feel it. There is something is not normal here. So you don't have to be a supersonic best home inspector.
You don't need any equipment.
You don't need any equipment. You
Yeah.
don't need anything,
Yeah.
right? You just walked in, and then you can feel it, right? So this is the easy way,
Right.
when you're going for a house, to look at. And then if you walked in, and then I will pay attention to two things, right? When I'm viewing the house, I am looking the ceiling, and I am looking the floor,
Okay.
right? So, for example, if you are in a garage, so people are paying attention. Is it one car garage or is it two car garage, and that kind of stuff. But as a buyer, I will look at the ceiling, right? And if there is any stain, you know, any stain on the ceiling, it is an indication of maybe a roof leak, maybe something is not going. So same thing, I will go inside and I'll pay attention to. So this way you would know is this house has some leaks, and things like that. Flooring, you can look at if the flooring looks normal or it is, looks. So these are the indicators. One of those ones that you can get in some sense out of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah.
So, like the leaks, for example, right away, like, the average person is going to think, okay, leaks, they might think, well, how much is it going to cost me? Is this like a problem that I have to spend a lot of money on? But not always so people are thinking about the health implications, right? Which is a lot of what you do as well. So the big obvious one is like mold, right? When there's leaks, it leads to mold, typically, especially like in Vancouver with all this humidity and stuff. So, like, can you think of an example of a time where like you sensed mold issues in a home and it was related to health stuff, like in the home? Like, I know you have lots of.
Yeah, so like you said, when the moisture and heat combines, it is bound to have a mold, right? Okay, and uh, there are certain clients. There are a certain number of clients they will call to book an inspection because they noticed a mold, in the basement or in the kitchen or somewhere, and then now they are worried about it. By the way, this is one of the major concern that client may have when they see the mold. Yeah, I see the mold. So that is thing. But funny part is that home inspectors, even they can sense it that it is a mold, they cannot tell, they cannot write that it is actually is a mold, because it has to go through a lab test.
Right. So that's kind of one of the limitations of an
That's kind of
inspector.
limitation,
You can
right?
see the mold. You can tell the client, I have evidence of mold here.
Is a smell there.
There's a smell, right? Like just your human
Yeah.
instinct.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying. Like, to be confirmed, there has to be like a lab test, and there's some other technicians that have to get involved, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so that would be part of the home inspection process. Like, as a realtor, like, there's other professionals that may have to be involved sometime to ensure home is healthy or safe, right? Like that's the water thing also reminds me of like drinking water, right? Like if there's a well or something like that, like home inspector can't test the quality of the water in the well necessarily, right? But you
Right.
can say, for example, you should test it, or there could
Yes.
be. You can
Yes.
say,
If it is a private well, most of the farmhouses, if you're doing it, mostly some of them has all the well water, right? So this is one thing. Older houses that have or still old plumbing, right? They might have a lead pipes, right?
Yeah.
So you want to point out, right? And so these are the things that inspector can point out and raise the flag, and it says it's a good idea to have a water test done.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. Okay. And also, if I'm doing a 100-year-old house. By the way, 100-year-old house exists and the people buy, right? So, so if you're buying a house, well, the oldest house I have done is 167-year-old house. Is a heritage house
In the Lower Mainland.
in Lower Mainland.
Wow,
I
okay.
was surprised
Yeah.
that the house. But anyway, so
Yeah. Did it pass the inspection?
actually, actually, it is passed as a heritage house, but it has a lot of issues.
Okay.
So, I mean, we as inspector we don't pass or fail. We just give our condition report. So client decided not to buy the house based on that one. But those are the things that you want to make sure. So in older houses, all the piping is redone, for example, right? And so there is.
Can you define older house in terms of piping? Like how old?
We are talking about 80-year-old, for example.
Okay, so if it's more than 80 years old,
Yeah.
the piping.
The piping definitely. Yeah. Yes, you'll see I will say 95% is the case that it has newer pipes, not the original one, right? The most of the older houses we see is a copper pipe, right? And those can last up to 50 years. Right? You say the copper, which is mined copper.
Right.
Now today we have some recycled copper.
Right.
I don't think that they can go that long.
Yeah.
Some of them, started having an issue, and they are only 20-year old pipes. Right?
Because that, again, from a health and safety point of view,
Yeah.
if the pipes are not performing or corroding or
You're having.
there's going to be metals and stuff that go into it.
Yeah.
And again, I think from a home inspector view, like your job is to identify that, right? That could be a potential problem, which may require further, testing or water quality stuff. So it's a big there's the way it's there's 4 or 5 different aspects of the health of a home, right? Like so the water, the air quality, the heating sources, gases and stuff, and the light, right?
The light.
So very simple. We're all living beings. We all need these things to be working properly, and that's something I emphasize. When we're doing a home inspection, but also reviewing a property, one of the documents as realtors we have to show to our clients is a property disclosure statement. In that disclosure statement, they ask questions to the seller, right? Are you aware of any problems with the water system or the quality? Are you aware of any damage to the heating system or pollution? But those are, it's just what the seller knows,
Right.
And even if they're being truthful, they may not know. In a lot of cases, they won't know what the full situation of the house is, right? So even more important to have someone like yourself.
Yeah, I am going to give you some, interesting story that I was doing. I was doing inspection of a house, and the owner of that house was living built that house. He was himself was a developer. He built that house, and he was living in that house for the last 20 years or 25 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And so he was very proud the way he was maintaining the house and doing things, right? And our house was in a decent shape. It has a crawl space. And I was, when I went to the crawl space, I saw a active leak, plumbing leak,
Plumbing or gas?
plumbing,
Plumbing. Okay.
plumbing leak,
Yeah.
right? So it was a water, you can,
Okay.
it was on the floor. And I can tell that it is not very old. It is just happened maybe the same day or a few days. It was not very old. So I came back and the owner was at home and I pointed out. First, he thought that it is not correct,
Right. You were hired by the buyer.
by the buyer,
Right.
right? So, but the owner was in the house. So, so a problem was there, but the owner himself was not aware of it, because how many people will go in the crawl space every day?
I've never gone in my crawl space.
Yeah, that's right. So like you said, is that the homeowner may not be aware of it. This problem is there, right? And that's why the inspectors is become important, right? Okay, so that's what we look at. And I pointed out to him. He was very grateful because he said, I would never go and in the crawl space like every day or things like that. But I'm glad that you are here and you were checking, and we prevent the problem right then instead of it becoming a big issue, right? Okay.
Right.
So same thing, attic. Right? So how many people, the homeowners, will go in the attic? Even I am a home inspector. I will go in the attic because I have to go.
Right.
Number one. Number two is I will stay there. Only when I need whatever the time is needed. Right. So places like this, the seller is not aware of it.
Of course, yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
and so how come
unless it's too late?
it's too late?
Right.
And in the PDS, in the document, they can say there is no problem, and a buyer can buy the house based on PDS.
Yeah. The PDS is the property disclosure statement.
Property disclosure statement, yeah. So you can buy the house based on that one, right? And it's nobody's fault. And I think the fault is lies not hiring the inspector.
Right. Okay. So let me ask you this. I'll put you on the spot. What would you say to someone, a buyer, who does not want to hire a home inspector?
So I would say that it is a gambling, in the sense gambling, because if it is a minor issues, maybe it's not going to give you too much problem. But how about is a big problem there, right? And I'll give you the example. So there was I'm talking about 10 years ago, right? That one client called me, and he already bought the house, right, without inspection.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Like the offer was firm, or did he have the key?
So he had a position. He moved in.
Oh, he moved in. Okay.
He bought the house. Okay. He decided not to have inspection,
Right.
because the house looks nice and good. And so they thought, their friend actually, they said that there's one of friend, he knows about the houses. He was not an inspector, and he's a tradesman or someone who came and they had a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And
I've had a couple of those.
Yeah.
Not my clients, but like
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said the house is fine. You don't need inspection. Why you are wasting your money, to have this, inspection done. So they didn't have that one. And later on, they start seeing mold, right? And mold was in the ceiling of their bedroom, so they will start seeing those things. And then they saw in the wall as well in the bedroom, right? So they just call me and say, can you come and look at and see what is happening? And so I went into the house and I went into the attic, right? And I was surprised to see that it was a big attic. It was and it was used for grow up.
Oh. Yeah.
Yes, it was grow up. So because their friend, who was a handyman, he never thought that attic is something to look at. You understand what I mean?
Right. He was probably just looking at the construction to see if it's
whatever. Like people normally, though, they will look at the bathrooms, the kitchen, vanity, flooring, the paint, things like that, right? And which is what that's the best they can do. You see, you see it, and that's what we need, a technical, skill, to go look at. So how about you put all your savings buying a house that had a grow up. You see
And
that?
as a realtor, those are very hard ones to sell. You can't get rid of those.
Can't get rid of them, right?
It's very hard for buyers to get mortgages on those kind of houses. So even if you were able to buy it yourself, to be able to sell a house where those are grow up, very difficult. There's very few banks that will even consider doing a mortgage on that kind of house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I mean, things like that. So I will not take a risk.
Yeah.
I will never take a risk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I will tell somebody call me and say why you are asking the fees like this and all this stuff. I say how much you're paying for that house, and compare. These are the pennies that you are trying to save penny, and you don't care about the dollar.
Right.
Right? Just go over there.
Yeah, and I, like for most of my clients will eventually understand. Like I've had very few cases where they chose not to have a home inspection, and I made it very clear, like that I've told it to them, make sure verbally and in writing, just yes, we can't rely on the property disclosure statement completely, and that there's some inherent risk, right? Sometimes, like again, as a realtor, well, we see buyers, sometimes they might want to have a home inspection, but if it's like a really hot market, if there's going to be like 10 offers on a house, the timing is short, they're like, there's no time for home inspection, or they justify that, or they think, okay, if I don't put a home inspection, my offer will be more likely to be accepted. That's happened a lot too. So even in those situations, as a realtor, I'm saying that's still a risk. My advice is, you want the house, you like the house, you want to make an offer, do the inspection before you make the offer, right?
That's correct, yeah.
In fact, and I speak from experience, that's what I did with my house. Remember, a couple years ago, when the market was really house, the last property that I bought, it was a detached house, about a 30-year-old house, and I knew there was going to be a lot of offers on it. And we were about 2 days away from the offer period, and I called you, and I made sure that we had the home inspection done before the offer. So I was still able to put a subject free offer, and also the finance. I had all that. Basically, I had everything: the financing, the inspection, all the legal stuff done before we put the offer. Right. So that's something as realtors we can help you with. But on the home inspection aspect of it, I mean, to me, as a buyer, I love the house, right? So I was still kind of, in one way, like a realtor, but also like a buyer. I love this house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily look at those details. As much as I'm a professional, I want to be objective. Still, when it's your house, it's a different feeling.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Right.
So I made sure that we can get the inspection done, and you came, I think, the next day, gave me a really good report, and I was confident. There was a few little things, but stuff that, okay, I know I can fix or down the road. The most important things, that the plumbing was replaced, the roof was solid, the foundation, you went into the crawl space. So all those important structural issues were good.
Good, yeah.
And the cosmetic stuff was irrelevant, so, and I love that house, and I can see myself with my family being there many more years. So just for buyers, that's another thing to keep in mind. Even if it's a hot market, don't compromise your health and safety, but also your financial, like you're saying, investment, right?
Yeah, it is.
Because you can't give it back. Once you buy it, you're stuck with it. You can't give it back. Speaking of which, since we're in your home right now,
yes,
you bought this home. You told me you did some, renovations here and stuff. So, but as a home inspector, I'm curious, what were you looking for in this home?
So I did the, when we bought the house, my focus, was this house is healthy, because I see house very different way, If the house is healthy and is breathing well, I am breathing well, and I am healthy as well. And that's how I relate.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So air circulation is important. The daylight is important, right? Humidity level is important, right? So all those things I kept in mind. So that was my work, but all the aesthetic aspect and the interior design and decoration is my daughter.
Right.
Yeah, she's also is a realtor, and she has a really beautiful eyes. She knows about the spaces and how to design. So this is as cosmetic part or design, interior design part was her, but the inspection part was mine.
So you focus on air and
quality,
light. That was the main things.
yeah.
Right.
So I want to make sure in my every room there is a fresh air source, right? There is no area that I have a stall air, right? And that makes a huge difference. It's just a simple, basic thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
And when you say airflow, you're talking about natural airflow.
natural
Not
flow.
mechanical.
No,
Okay. Right.
no,
Okay.
no. Yeah, we have a HRV units and all this thing. I don't personally fan, making a house very mechanical, right? So if we have a natural air, flow, daylight, and I can keep the relative humidity level low, right? That's all you need.
Right.
You understand, Brian? If you think. So that's what I would say when I was working on this one. So if you walk around the house, you will see a lot of daylight and windows, right? And the rooms where we have a fresh air intakes, in most of the rooms, right? You will find fresh air intakes, right? And then we have a hot air furnace that circulates the air in winter, but in summer it just circulates, the natural air. I'm not fan of AC, too much.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just like to have a cool natural air circulating in the house. So that's what I did. And so we, my wife and my daughter self, compare. There's not, we sleep well, number one. Of course, we have a work-related stress and all other stuff part of that, but we sleep well, and I mean, I would say we are relatively healthy.
That's important. Like this is why, like, the whole health aspect of it, right? Excuse me. My again, the realtor role I have is answering a simple question like, is your home making you healthy or healthier? Because we can buy or sell any home that can have a great view, you get a great deal. You might have a mortgage helper suite, making good money. But really, if you're not getting healthy in your home or living healthy in your home, like, what's the point? That's kind of the most obvious question that I speak to. That's kind of inspired everything that I do now, right?
So I have a client who was interested buying a house which has a crawl space. Now remember that house in the Chilliwack, right? But we had it was a different house, and the house was beautiful, like a beautiful house, and but nobody knew that it has a crawl space.
Not even the owner?
So
Yeah.
this is an owner knew probably about it, but it has a crawl space, and owner, maybe what happened is after the inspection they actually got into the crawl space, and I found out that it has a crawl space because we were looking certain indicators, and I said house may have it. So we found the entry to that crawl space. So the owner, I don't know, more than 20 years he lived in that house, right? But he never went into the crawl space. And somehow, somewhere, the rodents got in. And it was a full flash rodent infestation in the crawl space. You can't imagine.
Like living rats and
rats
stuff.
and droppings. Like if you look at the floor, it was like a
Okay.
black surface.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because either he was not aware of it, or he forgot that he has a crawl space. And later on, somebody told me that he was, he has some psychological thing that he can't go in the crawl space or something. Anyway, so it was completely ignored, you know, and my client who was buying a house was a BC safety inspector
Oh. Okay. For
for that house.
for housing. So I think the house was condemned after or shut down.
It has to go to law, remediation, right? And things happening. So situation like this. So house is pretty good, and you can't feel anything, right?
Well, maybe
And-
you can.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking again, we don't have to be doctors to appreciate if your house is covered with rat crap all along the bottom for 20 years, and actual rats, it's going to have an effect.
It is.
On
It is.
what
See,
you
the thing is,
what you breathe and how you
so
feel.
is going to be, people think that crawl space is not the house, right? But looks this way. When we turn on the kitchen range hood fan, right? Or we turn on the bathroom fan, what is happening? It's taking the air out, right? When it's taking the air out, it creates a negative pressure in the house.
Yes.
What's going to happen?
It's filled with new
Oh,
air.
there, you're bringing this one, right?
So automatically, it's like you're extracting let's call it toxic air
Toxic air
from the crawl space
from the cars.
into your living space,
Their living space.
right? And people start say, I'm thinking now everyone is, or a lot more people are health conscious these days, right? They're feeling and thinking how to be healthier. But if they start experiencing symptoms such as respiratory problems or neurological or headaches or something, they go to their doctor. The doctor is not going to ask them, "How's your house?"
Doctor, they don't have a time.
Right? Maybe even if they did, they might not ask those questions, right? Because I don't they're not trained necessarily in medical schools to ask about how is your home, and therefore how is your home affecting your health. There's a gap there.
This gap.
You see what I mean? So this is kind of this is what drives what I do. You know what I mean? Address it, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a home inspector, but I'm a healthy human being, and I'm conscious, and I want people to be healthy in their homes. So working with people like yourself to become aware of these issues, right? And then to mitigate or eliminate any potential health risks, not just safety, but actual health risks, so that people can actually enjoy living in their home.
Absolutely.
Right? This is, I think, I would say I wish more inspectors were like that. I know a good number of inspectors. Generally they're good, because there's the certifications, and they have that objective point of view where they're just looking at the components. But not everyone's thinking like you. In the sense, you've even designed your home that way with the health in mind. But to even give advice to clients while you're looking at the home, going through the home inspection, to be mindful, okay, this could potentially affect your health, right? You shouldn't look at this or have this fixed. Right?
Yeah, it is. So health is the most important thing.
Yeah.
If you can have a beautiful house, and if you're not healthy, how you will enjoy it?
You're just going to be selling it.
Yeah, you
right?
just get it. But here I'm just going to give you, for your viewers as well, that if you bought the house, right, and you moved in, right, and after moving in, and a month or 2 months or 3 months, and if you start feeling something not right with your health, which was okay before you moved into that house,
Yes.
right? Please don't ignore that sign.
Yeah, for sure.
Please don't ignore it, right? Doctor is not going to ask this question, right? Whether did you move from an old house to a new house? Doctors, this is not the question of the doctors today, right? But you have to notice that if you can't sleep well in that house, right, and you have a headache, right, continuous headache, or you're breathing, you're feeling itchy eyes, or itchy throat, or things like that, these are good indicators, that maybe something has to do with the new property that I purchased.
Right. It's at least a logical thing to investigate.
Logical thing.
Because that variable has changed.
Variable change.
Right? The way you're living. And it's affecting everything in your breathing, drinking, eating, 24 hours a day, or at least every moment you're in the house.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be my last question, about the
Yes.
Between the inspection, right? You do the inspection, get the buyer, okay, I want the house, inspection is good. Usually there's 1, 2, sometimes 3 months before the possession occurs, right? So when buyers finally get possession, they have the key, and you should start living in there. You've touched on it already. Like, what are they looking for? What should they be looking for? Like, if anything's changed from the time they did the inspection. You've mentioned, okay, obviously their physical condition, okay. But what about something with the actual home? Is there anything they should be looking for?
Right. So when you get you hired inspector, he give you the report. So understand this thing, that home inspector is a journalist, right? They are not a specialist. So they are giving a opinion and conditional report telling you what it was the condition of the house the day the inspector actually looked at the property, right? But they can't tell the future events. They can't tell, there will be no plumbing leak. It's crazy. And every house with the age will have a problem, right? Or issue is just the living. By using things, and with the aging, things get expired, nothing lasts forever. So this can happen. Between 2 months, any pipe can leak. There is no way that any inspector can tell. There will be no event, right? This happen. So if when you get a position, at that time you have to look at again. You see,
like go through the report.
Through the report again, and look at the house. Anything different, right? And it is a process that owner is supposed to disclose it, right? Before
because the property disclosure statement legally becomes part of the contract of sale, purchase and sale. So it goes with it. So anything that the owner did or did not disclose, if it becomes an issue after possession, there is sometimes like a legal recourse for the buyer to say, look, you didn't tell me this, or maybe you lied to me, like that, right?
Yeah.
So definitely, I recommend that to my buyers to look through their inspection report after they take possession, and then they're even welcome to call you again. Like if that's one of your services too, right? Like that post inspection, post possession service. Once they have the report, and again, from a buyer point, a lot of the emotional stuff is kind of gone by that. Like once you've moved in, you've made your first mortgage payment, right? You start to have a lot more of a realistic, sometimes objective view of the home, right? So that's a good time to review the report. Okay, has anything changed? Call the inspector, say, I noticed this. Can you explain it, right?
Yeah.
To ensure again the integrity of the home, but more importantly, your health. Right?
Yeah. So this is important when you get a position. Again, you just remember when the inspection was done, right? So, for example, in a crawl space, when I'm doing a walkthrough with my client, I will actually encourage them to come with me, and they don't have to look at the crawl space. Just have to breathe, for a 15 second.
Right.
And I just said, remember this breath. All you have to do is when you're monitoring the crawl space, when you become an owner, if you just do this, right, and if you having a difference in the breathing, and you see the little bit odor, or a smell or heaviness, there is something not right.
Yes.
So it's just a one little test, very easy that homeowner can do.
Yeah.
You understand, when they just remember what happened during the home inspection and the walkthrough, and what is after.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah. So you don't need a really big thing, and best thing what I would suggest is that try to become a home inspector of your own house, right? For maintenance purposes, right? Anything happens. So when you have a home inspector, he looked at the house and having a walkthrough, and then you can ask the question, inspector, how I'm going to maintain it, right? What do you think? What I supposed to do with this deck, or the drainage system, or the driveway, or the sidewalk sloping towards the house, away from the house, the big cracks, and so you can ask questions and understand, home inspectors will give you the tip how to maintain the house, right? This is very important during the walkthrough, right? And that you can ask those things, and it saves you, right?
Yeah.
So maintenance of like exhaust fans, is important. Furnace, is important. You're circulating the air, right, in the house. Exhaust fan. I did interesting thing. I did a house yesterday, and three bathroom. It was a big house, three bathrooms. All the fans are running, but they are not extracting the air out. So when we did the test, you can hear the fan is really running nice, but when you check it, there is no air. It's actually leaving the bathroom.
Right.
Okay.
And did the owner know?
And no, they were not aware of it.
Yeah.
So they're not aware of it, right? And that is because the moisture is not leaving the bathroom. There is a moisture in the bathroom tiles, in the floor.
Yeah.
It causes more complication. And the relative humidity level is high, right? And just remember, relative humidity is also very important. And most of the houses, we don't see those ones, the fancy stuff. So relative humidity monitor is actually, if it is below 60%, it will not cause mold. Right? Okay. So you can have those ones. You can get some from Home Depot. You can install one bathroom fan with that sensor. It automatically turn on if the relative humidity is high.
Right.
Okay. And relative humidity is plants, human body, animals, cooking, laundry, shower.
Basic living.
Yeah, basically.
Yes. Right. So there will be humidity.
Yeah. There will be humidity. Yeah. So this is another thing, therefore it can affect your health.
That's great. Well, we covered a lot. Like, I'm very happy with the content that we've discussed here. I think you've provided a lot of great information. So much so, like, is that I would highly recommend Rizwan to any of my clients. And I also want to promote the idea of, like what Rizwan is saying, having a healthy home inspection done for your home. So even if you're not necessarily thinking of buying or selling or renovating, it's a good idea to know how healthy is your home. So one of the things I wanted to do from this interview is to make an offer to you guys for a free healthy home inspection, courtesy of Rizwan. And you can have your sort of chance to win. Just hit a like or subscribe on this video or any of my channels. And then I'll be doing a draw to select someone who can win this inspection. And like I said, don't worry about it if you're not selling or buying. Just either way, it's important to me that you all become even a little bit more aware of how healthy is your home, so that we can all experience the most important thing, which is, health, right, with each other. So I'll provide some more details on that in the details section below. Other than that, like Rizwan, it was a very good conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I got I even learned more things from this. I worked with you for a number of years now. I don't know how many inspections you've done for my clients, but each time I'm learning something, and even today. So I thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it for Healthy Homes Realtor Program. and there'll be more of these to come. So thank you for watching, and have a great day.